Studies have shown that over 1 million people die from road traffic accidents every year, which is the leading cause of death for those aged between 5 and 29 years old. This could be due to a variety of reasons. A lot of young adults have been caught driving while intoxicated with alcohol or even drugs. Most of them easily get distracted by different things, like trying to record themselves on social media while driving, making phone calls, or even drinking while they drive. It has been noticed that some youth are driving recklessly and violating traffic as a matter of pride, and most times they brag about it on social media. Some people go ahead and blame the social media platform for encouraging the actions of these individuals and even go as far as filing lawsuits. But in the end, people are responsible for their own actions, so we really can't blame the social media companies for some of the things that people do using their platforms. An example is seen in the story we have today, where two young adults record themselves driving recklessly and carelessly while bragging about it on social media, with no regard whatsoever for their own safety, and this will eventually lead to a crash and ultimately the end of a very young woman's life. Welcome back, Yarrow Crime. Today, we'll be taking a look at the case of Nikol Barabasova. Before we continue, please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel and click the bell to stay updated with our latest videos. So now sit back and take a look at the chilling story of Nikol Barabasova, the woman who recorded her own death on Facebook. Nikol Barabasova and her friend Nikol Volovsky were driving through Obnis, Czech Republic, which is where the whole story played out. The two young ladies were known to be very close friends and had known each other for a long time. But Nikol's family had noticed that her behavior had recently changed, and she had started hanging out with a bad crowd. This seemed to be common with youths her age, so they probably thought it to be a phase that she would grow out of. In the early hours of the day where the gruesome accident occurred, Nikol and her friend went shopping and also went to McDonald's. During their live stream video, they asked the audience if anyone wanted to hang out and stated that they were bored and on their way home, not knowing at that time that they would eventually not make it home. During the drive, Volovsky started a Facebook live stream. The entire video was over 40 minutes, but only the first 10 minutes captured the girls driving, and the scenes from these first 10 minutes of the video are both awful and annoying as they show how carelessly and recklessly the girls were driving. The girls were driving way too fast and bragging about how they didn't care about the prohibited signs on the road. Reports showed that Nikol was driving above 70 miles an hour. She seemed to be more concerned about appearing on the video than focusing on the road, which she paid little or no attention to. One of the most disturbing parts of the video is when her cell phone rings. She is seen taking both hands off the steering wheel and searching through her bag for her cell phone, not paying any attention to the road at this time. She then receives the call, which appeared to have been coming from her grandmother, who didn't know it would be the last time she would speak to her granddaughter, still while driving crazily fast. She then makes faces towards the camera and takes her other hand off the wheel to get a drink. Despite how horrific and irritating the scene was, it wouldn't be the first time that such an incident had occurred. There have been reports of cases of young adults recording themselves while driving carelessly and sometimes drunk and eventually crashing their cars, either into other objects or worse, off other cars. These incidents have led to deaths and injuries, not only to the individuals responsible for the car crashes, but also to the people in the vehicles that they might have run into if that were the case. During the live streams, the pair are seen bragging about violating the traffic rules, driving way above the speed limit, and still not being pulled over by the police. At this point in time, they were driving at about 90 miles an hour, and some seconds later, they lost control of the vehicle and eventually crashed, bringing an awful end to the fun they seem to have been having. One of the scariest parts of the video is the silence that follows just after the car crashes. While they were driving, you could hear the friends laughing, the sound of the engine, and even the radio, but immediately after the car crashed, everything suddenly went quiet. It's like someone picked up a remote and hit the mute button. I can't begin to imagine how the individuals watching the live stream video must have felt at that moment, especially the one who must have been close to the young ladies. It really must have been very scary. Though Volovsky dropped the phone after the car crashed, it kept recording and streaming to Facebook, and over the course of the next 30 minutes, the audience witnessed the process of everything that happened after the car crash. From the time when the car is discovered by another driver to the moment the pair are taken away by paramedics. It is important to note that the people who discovered the car did an incredible job trying to keep Volovsky calm until the emergency services arrived at the scene. Right before they arrived, the video showed that Volovsky regained consciousness, and it obviously showed that she was very scared and in a lot of pain. In the video, a woman speaks to Volovsky, telling her to remain calm, and still in case she might have hurt her neck. On the other hand, Barabasova remains still and quiet and doesn't make any noise after the crash, and the people who discovered the car just assumed that she was dead. While all this was going on, no one noticed that the incident was being recorded and streamed live on Facebook. Imagine how the audience might have felt seeing all this happen. The scenes must have been very awful, especially for the family and friends who had to find out what had happened from the video and see something so horrific happen to their loved one. The phone was finally discovered just 10 minutes before the video ends. It was picked up by an officer who took it to his colleagues while they were trying to identify the girls. Barabasova's father later arrives at the scene of the incident and confirms her identity. The live stream goes on and doesn't end until Barabasova's father arrives. He took the phone from the police, turned it off completely, and ended the video. Barabasova unfortunately lost her life due to the injuries she sustained during the car crash. It was quite disheartening, as she was only 22 years old when the incident occurred, and her Facebook page was flooded with prayers and condolence messages from her friends and family. Volovsky, on the other hand, survived the crash, but seems to have disappeared from social media since the accident. Despite how upset and terrified people were about how public the accident was, the pair received a lot of criticism for their reckless and careless behavior, which they portrayed during the live stream. Like we earlier stated, that would not be the first time such an incident occurred, and probably won't be the last. A couple of apps have received criticism and have been accused of encouraging people to use their phones while driving. In 2017, Snapchat was sued after being blamed for causing an accident that occurred, while a woman was recording and bragging about driving over 100 miles an hour using a speed filter on the app, but they eventually won the lawsuit. Such a video is enough to scare people into being more careful while they drive and paying more attention to the road and the traffic rules, but they would never learn. It really is quite saddening the way the video went. Despite how reckless and nonchalant the ladies were, it never brings anyone joy to see people get hurt, or better yet, lose their lives. It is way more awful for the family and friends of Nikol to have to watch their loved one die, knowing that the whole scene could have been avoided so easily. Some probably just wish they could have gotten themselves to where the girls were and stopped them from making such terrible mistakes. The video really just shows how careless and reckless some people can be while driving and how much disregard people might have for their own safety, and also the consequences that might follow such reckless behavior. It is just a shame that Nikol Barabasova could not live to learn from her mistakes. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. And lastly, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you in the next video.